This week isn't just big, it's game-changing. General Hospital.
Port Charles had always been a town where danger and love walked hand in hand. But for Danny Morgan and Charlotte Cassadine, it wasn't just a backdrop. It was in their blood. They didn't just live in chaos. They understood it. Chapter 1. The Spark. The first time Danny really saw Charlotte wasn't at a party or a family gathering. It was behind the Metro Court, where trouble liked to linger long after the lights dimmed. She was standing there alone, hoodie pulled tight, eyes scanning like she expected danger to leap out of the shadows. "Following me?" she asked without turning. Danny smirked. "Not everything's about you, you know." Charlotte turned then, her sharp gaze locking onto his. "It usually is." That was Charlotte, bold, guarded, and completely unapologetic. Danny should have walked away. Instead, he stepped closer. "Then I guess I should pay more attention." That earned him the smallest hint of a smile. That was the beginning. Chapter 2. Two of a kind. It didn't take long for them to realize they were more alike than either wanted to admit. Danny carried the quiet strength of Jason Morgan, observant, loyal, always calculating his next move. But there was something else too. A restless edge. A need to act, not just watch. Charlotte was fire, where Danny was steel. Raised on the run by Valentine Cassadine, she trusted instincts over rules and survival over comfort. She knew how to read people, how to lie if she had to, and how to disappear when things got dangerous. "You ever feel like normal is just not for us?" Danny asked one night as they sat on the docks. Charlotte skipped a rock across the water. "Normal is boring." Danny chuckled. "That's one way to look at it." "It's the only way," she said, glancing at him. "People like us? We don't get safe lives. Would you want one?" She didn't answer right away. Then softly, "Not if it means losing who I am." Danny nodded. He understood that better than anyone. Chapter 3. First kiss, no regrets. It happened fast. Too fast, maybe. But nothing in Port Charles ever moved slowly. They were arguing. Of course they were. "You can't just go off on your own like that," Danny snapped. Charlotte crossed her arms. "I handled it." "That's not the point."
"It is the point," she shot back.
"I don't need saving." Danny stepped closer, frustration flashing in his eyes. "I never said you did, but you don't have to do everything alone." Charlotte froze. That hit something deeper than she expected. "Everyone leaves eventually," she said quietly. "So, yeah, I do." Danny shook his head. "Not me." And before either of them could overthink it, he kissed her. It wasn't soft or hesitant. It was messy.
Real.
Full of everything they didn't know how to say. When they pulled apart, Charlotte's walls didn't come crashing down, but for the first time, there was a crack. Chapter 4. The Secret That Changes Everything. The truth came out the way it always did in Port Charles. Messy. Dangerous. Impossible to ignore. Danny found out first. Rocco. Sweet, funny, loyal Rocco. Had shot Cullum. Danny stared at the evidence, his chest tightening. "No, this doesn't make sense." But it did. And worse. Jason had taken the fall. Charlotte noticed something was wrong immediately. "You're hiding something," she said, cornering him near the pier. Danny hesitated, then told her everything. For a long moment, Charlotte said nothing. Then, "We protect him." Danny blinked. "You don't even." "Yes, I do," she cut in. "He's family. That's all that matters." Danny studied her, searching for doubt. There wasn't any. Just fierce loyalty. Okay, he said finally. Then we do this together. Charlotte smirked. Was there ever another option? Chapter 5. Against the World. Keeping Rocco safe meant going against forces far bigger than them. The WSB was already circling. Questions were being asked. And secrets? They never stayed buried for long. Danny and Charlotte moved carefully, meeting in hidden corners, exchanging information in coded messages, always one step ahead. Or at least trying to be. This is insane, Danny muttered one night. Charlotte grinned. You love it. He didn't deny it, because part of him did. Not the danger, but the way they faced it together. Chapter 6. Parents close in. Of course, it couldn't stay hidden forever. Lulu started noticing Charlotte slipping away more often. Where have you been? She demanded one evening. Charlotte shrugged. Out. With who? Charlotte hesitated just a second too long. Danny, Lulu said, piecing it together. Meanwhile, Danny's life was changing too. Moving in with Alexis meant rules, curfews, structure, everything he wasn't used to. You need stability, Alexis told him firmly. Danny nodded. But stability felt a lot like a cage. And Charlotte? She was the key. Chapter 7. Cracks in the plan. The deeper they got, the harder it became. Secrets piled on secrets. Lies got harder to maintain. And the pressure? It started to show. You didn't tell me everything, Charlotte accused one night. Danny frowned. I told you what mattered. No, you told me what you decided mattered, she shot back. That's not fair. Neither is this. Silence fell between them. For the first time, they weren't on the same page. Chapter 8. Choosing each other. It almost broke them. Almost. But when everything fell apart, when the truth threatened to explode and take Rocco down with it, they found their way back. I'm sorry, Danny said quietly. I should have trusted you. Charlotte looked at him, her expression softer than usual. Yeah, you should have. A beat. Then, I'm sorry too. Danny smiled slightly. You? Sorry? That's new. She rolled her eyes. Don't get used to it. But she stepped closer. And this time, when they kissed, it wasn't rushed. It wasn't desperate. It was certain. Chapter 9. The Fallout. The truth didn't stay hidden forever. It never did. But when it came out, Danny and Charlotte were ready. They stood together. Against the WSB. Against their families. Against everything. Because in the end, it wasn't just about protecting Rocco. It was about choosing who they wanted to be. Chapter 10. A love story begins. They weren't perfect. They weren't safe. And they definitely weren't normal. But as they stood on the docks again, watching the sun rise over Port Charles, Charlotte leaned against Danny. So, what now? She asked. Danny smiled. Now? We keep going. She glanced up at him. Together? He didn't hesitate. Always. And for two rebellious teens raised in a world of secrets and danger, that was everything. Epilogue. The future is theirs. Port Charles would test them. It always did. There would be more secrets, more danger, more impossible choices. But one thing was certain. Danny and Charlotte weren't just another teen romance. They were a storm in the making. And whether the world was ready or not, they were coming. Together.